the first time I can remember Kevin hasn't made a meeting in all the years. Or, you know,
I don't know. He may have missed one during one of his hockey tournaments in Florida.
I think he called in while he was on the ice.
Probably played better.
All right, we're ready to roll here. Gary, the recording is running, the broadcast.
Okay. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Oswego County Industrial Development Agency meeting of February 15, 2022. I want to thank you all for joining us, and it's a Zoom meeting. And normally I would ask Kevin Caracoli, legal counsel, who can't join us today because of a water line issue, to give the explanation of why we're doing this Zoom meeting. But
Hello?
I'm going to kind of try to verify.
I'm sorry,
I
got dropped off for a minute.
Is everybody good?
Yep, so Boris dropped off, Gary. He's back on now.
Okay, and we've always gone by the governor's executive order due to COVID restrictions, and I think that is carrying month to month as far as I know, and so that's the reason why we're doing a Zoom meeting. I'm sure Kevin, if he comes on, can explain it a lot better than I just did. So, Kevin LaMontagne, would you please introduce the guests and the staff that are on the line for this meeting?
Sure.
Please?
At the moment we have no guests. We have staff here in the room at the offices. It's Mike Treadwell, Austin Wheelock, and myself, Kevin LaMontagne. Board members, we have Gary Toth, Nick Canale, Len Schick, Morris Sabello, Tim Stahl, and Barry Trimble. So it's six board members.
Okay. Len, as recording secretary, that give us a quorum, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay, very good. All right, so we might as well begin the meeting. I'm sure everybody got on the portal, and if you read the portal, you saw the minutes of January 12th, 2022. Do I have a motion and a second on the minutes of January's meeting?
Morris makes a motion.
Okay, motion by Morris, seconded by, I'll second it, Gary. Okay, motion by Morris Cervello, seconded by Gary Toth on the minutes for January 12th, 2022. Len, can you do a roll call vote, please?
Yep, sure. Gary Toth,
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabello,
Yes.
Barry Trimble,
Yes.
Tim Stahl,
Yeah.
Len Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. And good morning, Nick. Okay.
Morning, Gary. Sorry.
No, that's okay. We have the treasurer's report. Should we do them individually, or do them one at a time, or do we do them pass all three at once?
I would package them.
All three, yeah.
Okay, so we have the treasurer's reports of August 31st, 2021, September 30th, 2021, and October 31st, 2021, and I'm sure they were on your portal for review. So I guess I'm looking for a motion and a second to accept the treasurer's report as written.
Len will move.
Barry will move.
Okay, Barry, do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Tim.
Okay, second by Tim. Motion by Barry, seconded by Tim Stahl. Are there any additions, errors, or corrections? Okay, Len, can I have you do a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Gary Toth,
Yes.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabello,
Yes.
Barry Trimble,
Yes.
Tim Stahl,
Yes.
Len Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, the treasurer's report is carried. Thank you. Notice of the meeting, it was published in the Palladium Times on February 3rd, 2002. Okay, now going down to agenda item 4, the Peck Road site, the town of Richland. We have an update on the appraisal.
I can give that,
Sure.
Mike, if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. So we had selected Integra Realty Services out of Syracuse to do the appraisal. They came in with the best price. We had gotten three appraisal estimates for that. They have been out to the site to do their site research. It got held up a little bit because the zoning of the property is actually currently zoned as residential. However, the surrounding uses are mostly industrial. So there was a little bit of a holdup in terms of how they should appraise it, if it as is residential or as what the potential use would be, which is industrial. So we got that figured out. I anticipate getting the final report in the next week or two, and then we can kind of go from there with it. But yeah, it's been a little bit of a process, but looks like it'll be completed here before the next IDA meeting.
The good news on that is that we budgeted up to $5,000, and the proposal is $2,750. There could be a few little add-ons depending on the circumstances, but it's going to be less than $3,000.
Okay, thank you, Michael. So by next month, we'll have the appraisal finalized on the property, and then we can discuss what we plan on doing with it.
That's correct.
Okay, very good. Now, we don't need to take any action on this at all. This is for informational purposes?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Does anybody have any questions or anything? Any board members on the Peck Road property?
Has there been any more, talk from the town or about what they want to do, or are they still pushing for this, or where are we at as far as that goes?
Last I spoke with the town, I believe was in early January, and they were asking for the same thing, an update on the where we were in the process, and I said we're still waiting for the appraisal to get finished, and they are still interested. They aren't pushing, but I did speak directly with Dan Krupke, and they did express that they are still interested in the property. They're still looking to do the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
And I've been contacted a couple of board members that I know from the Richland, the town of Richland, and they asked me about it too, and I told them that we were doing an appraisal on it now, and hopefully in a month or two, we'll have some numbers for them, some definite numbers for them, so we can sit down and discuss it.
This is Tim. I did have a discussion with the legislator who represents Dennis Bearden. He indicated that was just last week also that they are very much interested in pursuing that. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Thank you, Tim.
One other thing to add is that they were looking for, when they were doing their comps, they were asking about local economic development activity in the Richland, Pulaski area. So I had shared with them some generic information on projects that are going on and around, like Healthway and some other things like that, so they can use that as information as part of their appraisal process, because it is important for them to understand sort of the local and current economic development activity in the area. So that was something else that was added for this.
Hey, this is Tim. Do you know when we bought that from the county? Is the idea? Did we buy that based on its expected use price, or did we buy it based on the value of what it currently was? And we had a similar do when we were looking
the appraised value,
right. That's what I'm saying. So
or
when you appraise
the value set on the property by the tax folks.
Okay, understood. I just wasn't sure. Is it typical that I know we did this when we were looking at purchasing that other property out down south. You value it based on what it currently is, or do you value it based on what it could be? That's kind of the question I had. What did we end up going with? Do we know, or are they working on that right now?
They're appraising it based on a use of industrial use, and my intention is, if the town does not purchase it, that we would then we would pursue getting the property rezoned for industrial.
Now, going back in history a little bit, the reason we initially bought that piece of property was because the Fulton companies asked if we would be willing to get that piece of property and control it, because they could have a potential use for that property. So that, we didn't just buy it to buy it, we bought it because the neighboring company had some interest in that corner. And the deal that was worked out, we would pay what the assessed value was for the property at that point in time.
Thank you, Michael. Is there questions or comments regarding the back property? Okay. Austin, thank you for the update, and I'm sure we'll have more discussion on this at next month's meeting. All right, moving on to agenda item number 5, the Operation Oswego County COVID Fund, the repayment.
Gary,
I don't know who takes.
I'll take that one.
Okay.
This is just a brief update as far as our agreement with OOC for this loan fund. The contract works that we made one payment of principal last July after June, basically for the half year, and then OOC is paying back collected monies, if you recall, and then the next payment was due as of December 31st. So in January, we've now paid that amount on the agenda, $65,671 from Operation Oswego County to the IDA. So altogether, about $225,000 have been paid back of the $500,000 loan. Operation Oswego County keeps the loan program open. We did have one recent loan at the very end of last year for the Richland Hotel Bar and Grill. So that's pretty much the status of that. There'll be another payment made per the agreement just at the end of this calendar year, or in January of 2022 will be the next payment. Based on the amortization, I expect that payment to be about $138,000 of collected monies. That's pretty much the update.
So can I, this is Tim, can I just ask overall then, what does the landscape of that repayment look like, Kevin?
What do you mean by landscape?
Like you said, we put out an initial 500,000-ish.
Yeah.
We've gotten 250. We expect another, 130 or so. So, that's still. If you look at the total amortization repayments over the next,
Yeah.
what
Well,
the
that's
length
spelled
of
out.
repayments
That's
are.
spelled out very clearly in the contract. So there's a payment at the end of each year now. The end of 21, calendar 21, calendar 22, and calendar 23. At the end of calendar 23, all unlent money also has to be returned. So unless Operation Oswego County decides to close the loan program early, that will naturally end the program at the end of 2023, because both collected monies and unlent monies need to be returned. So there's about $138,000 to be collected at the end of 2022, $38,000 at the end of 23, and about $98,000 that's unlent, which would also be paid back at the end of 2023 for the contract.
So based on those numbers, Kevin, that sounds like that puts us pretty close to recovering almost the majority of what we lent. Is that correct?
That assumes that Operation Oswego County can recover everything they've lent. There are 3 accounts right now that I've forwarded to Kevin for collections, so it's unlikely we'll get it all back. But
No, I
Yeah.
don't think we ever expected to get it
Yeah.
all back. I mean, we knew going into these were high risk loans, and that was accepted. I'm just kind of curious how, what percentage you think, we've talked a little bit about how we don't have a lot of recapitalization of our of that account. This money lent out, coming back in again will give us the option to reuse some of that. Just was curious what you expected, kind of looking over. You know these accounts better than we do.
I expect about $470,000 to come back to the IDA, leaving about $30,000 of for these bad loans, plus collection costs. So it's something in that neighborhood. Yeah.
But 30,000 out of 500 is really not that bad. What's that, 6%?
Yeah,
Well,
I guess so.
What was the total we let out?
402 roughly.
So I think it's been a very successful program, and I think it's really benefited the businesses. And I think it's basically stating what Tim said. I think the 30,000 we will try to collect it as much as possible, but I think it's really benefited all businesses in the county.
Yeah, and I would encourage, Oswego County or us as the IDA to really highlight that. I think this is a big win. I think it was a really good program. I think we were able to see the need and we addressed it. And I think ultimately ended up really being successful. So, there's nothing wrong with us highlighting good successes. I think this is definitely one of them.
Kevin?
Especially in the time it took us to put it together and get it out there. Len, did you have something you want to comment?
Are any, the three you mentioned that you turned over to Kevin Caracoli, are they any of them on our delinquent loan report?
No, they're not. So the delinquent loan report only has IDA loans.
I understand it. I'm
No,
just
they're none of the same businesses.
Okay, I
Yep.
just wondered,
Yeah,
I know they're not related, but I was just wondering if they were the same business.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions on the repayment of the COVID fund? Okay, Kevin Lamontagne, thank you very much for that update.
Sure.
Okay, moving to agenda item number 6, Hawthorne Holdings, an update and special meeting notice.
This is the Highland Animal Hospital project. Initially on the tentative agenda, we had this project identified for all of the resolutions, the seeker, the inducement, the pilot, and the approving resolution. However, there's been some delays and some internal processing going on with the village. The seeker and the site plan approval was anticipated to be well done by now, but it's not. Hopefully this week it will be finalized. So we expect this project will be back on the next IDA agenda for the resolutions for the pilot process. And everything's going well with the construction that will begin very, very, very soon. And it's going to be a terrific project for the village and the town and for the county. The one thing that we were a little bit perturbed with, the company did submit 2 times a CFA application for some grant funding and was denied twice, both times, for reasons unknown. We think the denial was defined by the state, even though they didn't say it in their denial letter. They didn't say anything in their denial letter other than the fact that it's not eligible. We think they defined this as a retail project, but there are deviations in terms of retail, that if the retail function is something that is unique to the area, that's not readily available, then an IDA can provide assistance by exempting it because of those qualifications. And we couldn't see why this wouldn't qualify for that. And it had a significant economic impact in terms of jobs, doubling their employment, real good, very good level, payroll level, and an investment of $2.3 million. So it's a big project, a nice project, but it's gonna happen. Just taking longer now, and it's probably may get a little bit tighter in terms of their budget because they didn't get the anticipated $400,000 grant from the state. So
Okay,
that's all I got to say for that, other than the fact that we would like, if necessary, depending on the timing of getting the site plan approval all behind them, we may if necessary, want to have a special meeting just for this project to not delay it anymore and get the IDA on board where they can finalize things with their bank.
Okay, and that will be to be determined, right, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, if it's falls in line with when we schedule our next meeting, then that's okay. But if we may have to have a single purpose meeting for this one project, because the last thing we want to do is slow it down.
All right, anybody have any questions for Mike on the Highland Animal Hospital? The update or the special meeting notice? Okay, moving on to, wait a second. Next one's our executive session. So I guess we need a motion to go into executive session, please?
Mike, before we go into executive session, do you want to cover GSPP,
Yeah, why don't we jump down to
other business?
where is that, 12?
Yeah, well, other
Yeah.
business, yeah.
Under other business, there's a couple things that does not need to be in the
Okay.
executive session.
Should I start with that?
Yeah.
Solar? So we have a request to consent to the transfer of membership interest for a solar project. This is a project that was approved back in approved back in June of 2020. The project name is what is the project name? It's GSP 1616 County Route 12. It's down in the town of Hastings, and it was, as I said, approved in June of 2020, almost 2 years ago. This is not yet closed. It is moving forward, but as part of the process of moving forward, they have done one of these financial restructurings. We approved a assignment of membership interest back in August of 2021. That was kind of an internal restructuring, and now at this point here in February 2022, the company is looking to get our consent with reorganization to bring in the tax equity partner. So the first step was restructuring, moving around some of the pieces of their organizational chart last year, and now they're looking to bring in an equity partner, which is a company which sets up funds of kind of tax equity investment funds. That will be the equity partner of so many of these deals. And I guess the good thing about this is that this ownership change is happening before closing, so it makes it a little bit more straightforward. In fact, the company has completed the transfer already, and like we've seen in the past, they're asking for kind of our permission after the fact. They completed the final transfer with the equity partner in November 2021. So they're asking for our consent to authorize this. I mean, the equity partner they're in this business. They specialize in tax credit investing, as I mentioned, and certainly are financing a number of energy projects, dozens of them across the country. So I'll open it up to questions.
So Kevin, the motion, how would the motion read?
To authorize approving the sale of a membership interest in the company, in the company we're discussing, which is GSPP 1616 County Route 12.
Now, we have an updated policy on that. We updated the policy, and there's some fees now.
We are putting that policy in new pilot agreements. This one hasn't closed, so this is kind of a change during closing. But so in this case, nowhere. Also, it was approved in 2020 anyway, before that policy. But the new pilot agreements will have that policy. So for future ownership transfers once closed, but at this point, the company hasn't agreed to. I mean, we don't have a signed pilot agreement.
They did it the right way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just took a long time, but they did it the right way.
So we're kind of in the mix of closing, and this has come up. That's actually how it surfaced, really, with the review of documents, their closing submittals.
So you're saying they did it the right way, but they've already transacted it, and they didn't ask our permission ahead of time. That seems like the wrong way.
Well, we haven't closed.
So if we haven't closed yet, then they're not locked into anything. I would say we go back and we hit them with our new policy and our fees. I mean, if they can change the name of the company that does it, I would say we have every right to enforce our current policy, especially since it's 2 years later. Almost 2 years later.
They've never been informed of that policy. There's no, I mean, the only way place that policy appears is pilot agreements.
Do we have we don't have any sort of a time limit based on any of our paperwork? I mean, again, this is almost 2 years ago.
No, there's none.
No, we've had projects that lasted more than 2 years before they finally closed. In this case, the costs associated with this is being incurred, and they will be paying, you know, the appropriate cost for the closing at the closing. So, in essence, they're paying for it anyway.
So whether this thing closed in 2 months or 2 years, we get the same fee?
Yep.
And we may need to look at
Well,
changing our commitment agreement. That doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to me.
So, but have we incurred additional costs because of this?
No, not really.
Any legal fees are paid by the client directly. So
How many more, Kevin, how many more of these do we have that are from before we put the policy into place that are still out there hanging around?
I don't think we've approved any since the policy's been in place. Maybe one. I don't have that information here, and both of my computers are tied up with the broadcast, so I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Kevin, from top of head, do we have a lot of these that we're still going to be finalizing that are not under the current policy?
I would say no.
More than one?
No,
There's more than one. There's three at least, other than this one.
And every one of them is not under the policy? Wait, are you saying the policy? Are you talking about the fee change policy, or our
No.
original policy that governs all energy pilots or solar pilots? Sorry.
Projects that aren't closed have never been presented that fee. The only time they're told about it is in the pilot agreement. Once they close the pilot agreement, they're bound by that fee. That any transfers of ownership would be charged the fee that we just determined.
No, I understand.
so
So, I'm so sorry, I
any-
got mixed up. I thought you were saying they were not under the policy, meaning that original policy that governs all solar pilots, not
Yeah.
the one about the. Okay, understood. I'm sorry, I got mixed up there.
This one definitely does follow the policy for cost per megawatt.
Perfect. Thank you. That's what I wanted to be sure of. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
And we do have some, community solar projects, I know at least one, that might be, contacting us regarding a pilot, so, they'll give us the opportunity to follow this through. Is there any other questions, regarding the sale, the approval for the sale of ownership, or membership, I said, for this, solar project?
So, just to be real clear on this one, them changing name does not change our contract other than the name in the contract, right? So everything else that we had originally passed is still going to be the rule that governs. It's just going to have a different name on it. Is that all true?
It actually won't have a different, because the operating company of that particular solar farm is the same. It's just the ownership of that company has changed. Yeah. So anyway, it will stay the same. Actually, the name of the project.
So all the decommissioning plans and everything else we put into place that we expect to be there are still going to be there. No issues with any
Yes.
of that.
Correct. And they'll still be bound by our pilot agreement for sure.
Okay, any other questions?
This is the first one we
Okay,
did in Hastings, right?
Yeah.
Kevin, if I don't get this, motion right, please, help me with this. The approval,
Sure.
sale of membership interest, and what was the name of the project?
The project name is GSPP 1616 County Route 12 LLC.
Well, the heading on the resolution is resolution consenting to a change in ownership of membership interest in the company and ratifying and reaffirming the approving resolutions.
Okay.
I'll make that
So
motion.
Okay, Nick, thank you, I'm just gonna ask. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Nick Canale, seconded by Len Schiff. on approving, the motion that, Kevin and Mike, detailed. Mike, do a roll call vote, please?
Sure, Gary Toth.
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabello,
Yes.
Barry Trumbull,
Is there anything else for other business?
Yes.
Tim Stahl,
Is there anything else for other
Glenn
business?
Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, motion is carried.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else under other business, Mike, that we need to take care of before we go into executive session?
I don't think there's anything else for other business, is there, Mike?
No.
Okay. I guess at this time, I'll entertain a motion in a second for the executive session, please.
I'll make a motion. I'll second
Okay,
it.
motion by Ellie, seconded by who? Barry?
Who,
Okay, seconded by
Barry.
Barry
who
Trimble.
made the motion?
Nick.
Nick, okay.
Nick Canale and Nick Canale made the motion, Barry Trimble seconded it. And, again, I'm gonna stumble through this, but the reason we're going to executive session is, we're gonna discuss, either legal, personal, revenues of a client or business that, needs to be an executive session. And again, I'm not a lawyer and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night, so I'm sure Kevin will clear it up if he comes on the line. So, Mike, can we do a roll call vote, please?
Sure, Gary Toth,
Yes.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabello,
Yes.
Barry Trumbull,
Yes.
Tim Stahl,
Yes.
Glenn Schick is unanimous, that's 8:35.
8:35, so we're gonna enter an executive session. Kevin LaMontagne, let us know when we can continue.
Okay, ready to go.
Okay, so we have a motion from Gary Toth to leave executive session. It was seconded by Barry Trimble. Len, can you take a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Gary Toth,
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabella,
Yes.
Barry Trimble,
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
Yes.
Len Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, so for the items discussed in executive session, the OCIP expansion EDA grant, preliminary engineering report, we need to have a motion to approve up to $12,000 for that engineering report in order to support the application. Can we get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion this Tim.
Motion by Tim, seconded by
Len will second it.
seconded by Len. Len, can you take a roll call? Any discussion on that? Okay. Len, can you take a vote for that one, please?
Okay, Gary Toth,
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabella,
Yes.
Barry Trimble,
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
Yes.
Len Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, the motion passes. Next, we're gonna be looking for, the commitment of $2.5 million from the IDA for the local match, on the application. Do we have to the EDA for this project? We have a motion on that.
This is Tim. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Tim Stahl, second.
Morris Cervello. Barry, I'll second it.
Motion by Tim Stahl, seconded by Morris. Sorvello. Len, can you take any discussion on that at this point? Okay, Len, can we take a vote?
Okay, Gary Toth,
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabella,
Yes.
Barry Trimble,
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
Yes.
Len Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, that motion passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to OA Pulaski LLC, we need to approve the amended legal description on Kevin Caracoli. I don't know if you want to describe what this motion should read, then we could make that.
This would be.
We got the language on the resolution from,
Got it already?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, probably
so who's gonna make that? We need to have a first on that, motion on that resolution, please.
Barry will move it.
Barry, seconded by?
Len will second it.
Motion by Barry Trimble, seconded by Len Schick. Any discussion on that at this point? Okay, Len, can we take a vote on that one?
Gary Toth,
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabella,
Yes.
Barry Trimble,
Yes.
Tim Stahl.
Yes.
Len Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay, that passes. There's no action needed on the audit report this time. Delinquent loan report was a report, do we need to approve that?
Yes, yes.
So can we get a motion to approve the delinquent loan report, please?
Morris makes it. I'll make. Barry.
Motion by Len, seconded by Gary. Any discussion on the delinquent loan report at this time?
Yes, I wanna just confirm that, that includes the discussion we had on, St. Peter's Outfitters, that, Kevin.
I would make that a separate motion.
Make that a separate motion?
Yeah.
Okay, alright.
And Morris already moved, we already got down, Morris was gonna move it and out of the executive session.
Okay, so to move along, first we'll take a vote, I guess, on the delinquent loan report itself, and then we'll let Morris make a motion on the second issue.
Okay,
Whenever you're ready, Len.
okay, Gary Toth,
Yeah.
Nick Canale,
Yes.
Morris Sabella,
Yes.
Barry Trumbull,
Yes.
Tim Stahl,
Yes.
Glenn Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay. So then, Morris, you wanted to make the motion, to approve the settlement offer from St. Peter's Outfitters, as it's outlined in the agreement that will be made between Kevin L. and Kevin C. and St. Peter's Outfitters. Is that correct?
That's correct. I would like to make that motion.
Anyone second that motion? Motion by Morris, seconded by Barry. Any discussion at this point? Okay. Glenn, can you take a vote on that one, please?
Barry Trumbull,
Yeah.
Nick Canelli,
Yes.
Morris Sabello,
Yes.
Barry Trumbull,
Yes.
Tim Stahl,
Yes.
Glenn Schick is a yes, that's unanimous.
Okay. And pilot EDF report, we don't need to make a
No,
motion on that, I don't
Just
think, right?
review, yeah, just,
Okay. So that handles everything I believe that we discussed in executive session. Is there any other business that we need to discuss, Mike?
just setting the next meeting.
Okay. You got a date in mind?
I just threw, March 8, which is a Tuesday, or March 9, a Wednesday, or March 10, which is a Thursday.
I'd rather not do the 10th, that's my wife's birthday, and if I make commitments to do stuff like this, she'll get mad at me on that day.
Wednesday the 9th, best year.
Wednesday the 9th works for me.
Same here.
I'm good with that day too.
Okay,
Okay, what, we looking at 9 o'clock in the morning, or?
whatever time,
Sounds good.
9 a.m.
9 works for me, 8 works for me, it does, whatever. My kids are older now, I don't have to get them on the bus at 9 o'clock anymore.
Was that March 9th?
Yeah, March 9th, Wednesday.
I didn't catch that, Tim, what'd you say?
Good question.
We expect this to be a virtual meeting?
My guess is it'll be in person.
Yeah, I don't-
guys sitting here then.
is Ke-
We're looking at this being an in-person meeting, at the.
Whatever you want.
Offices.
Well,
Yeah.
that can be determined later.
I don't believe there's any, anything stopping us from doing an in-person meeting at this point,
No, we just plan to have it in person.
I still may call in.
Sure,
That's
Morris,
fine.
of course.
You won't fly up for that, Mars?
Well, if I get the plane on, I will.
We gotta
We're looking at Wednesday the 9th, does that work for you, Gary, 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, I guess so. I can't check my calendar, but I'll make it work.
Alright. We're gonna order those muffins now, Gary. They may be a little stale though when you come in on the 9th.
Hey, Cliff, Kevin Caracoli, does the governor still have an executive order regarding virtual meetings, or is that over with?
No, it's still in effect. It continues, I think through today or tomorrow, unless it's extended. So I can confirm that and let you know, but there's no prohibition against meeting in person. It just gives you the additional opportunity to meet in, via Zoom or, some other teleconference method.
Oh,
We always have the option to meet personally.
okay.
Okay. Anything else anyone would
So
like to
is
discuss?
that, I'm sorry, is the meeting at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock?
I think we said 9, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yep, good with that.
Any other topics to discuss, Mike?
Nope.
Anybody else?
I want to thank everybody for getting together on this Build Back Better.
And the nice thing about the date we've selected is if there's any last minute approvals we need to do, we have it. We can do it before the drop dead deadline of the 15th. So appreciate that.
Tim, this is Gary. Are you gonna be available tomorrow afternoon to give me a call?
Who were you asking, Gary? I don't think it was clear.
Tim Stahl.
Yeah, let me, will you text me today and we'll just go back and forth a little bit there, we can catch up?
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
You bet.
Hey Kevin, Terracoli, are you all set with your, water lines?
Well, the water stops dripping. The line has been capped, and now the cleanup begins. But yes, 3 o'clock this morning was quite a wake up call to hear. I'm glad one of us was a light sleeper. All good.
Most opportune time.
Yeah, but it's all good. It can't be fixed.
Okay. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, this is Gary.
Motion by Gary, second.
Morris seconds it.
Second by Morris. Glenn?
All in favor?
All in favor?